they say all men are created equal. Shaq Master! I'll pull out the Glock. Full of suffering, succotash, son.
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass.
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Too Sweet podcast with Lucy and Estelle, and we're back not on our usual day. We're going to review Grandslam instead of Dynamite this week, so that's why we haven't had a Dynamite review. We're going straight into Grandslam, Grandslam Australia, which was in the place of Collision. It was a big event. I guess this is something that we talked about a lot on last week's episode, was like, was it ever meant to be a big pay-per-view type thing, and now it's Collision? Have people been scammed? That was a big source of debate in our comments. So now that we've watched the event, I guess we can start off by addressing that. Like, what did you think, like, overall with, like, the vibes? I guess, like, the arena was obviously smaller than it was meant to be, but it was absolutely packed out. The atmosphere was still really good. What did you think, Estelle?
To me, it had Wembley vibes, and
Yeah,
it wasn't, by ticket gate numbers. Maybe it wasn't the projected numbers that they felt they had to get to have a pay-per-view, but they were robbed. That should have been a pay-per-view. The match quality, the crowd, the atmosphere, the big match feel, but it was just bizarre. And this isn't me shitting on it, because I really enjoyed this, but I just want to say it was bizarre to watch something that was so intense, had Wembley vibes in terms of atmosphere, but then it's in picture.
Yes.
And it's a Collision. It was very weird.
I thought the exact same thing. It felt just felt in general like it should be so much bigger. Like you said, the atmosphere was giving Wembley. Everyone was so happy to be there. Everyone was so excited. It was obviously full because they downsized, and that made for a really good atmosphere. But it's just like the tone wasn't quite right. So it's like the fans wanted to play up to a huge event, and obviously like, this is like quite a rare thing for them to be able to go to a big wrestling show in Australia. Obviously, it's the first AEW event in Australia. The fans are so excited for that. And also AEW are selling it as a huge thing. The card is huge. All the wrestlers are wrestling at the highest level, but it's still Collision coded. And it's just, there was something a bit off about that, and it was just a 2-hour show. With picture in picture, like you said. Yeah, it was just a weird mismatch of these like two separate elements, like the big event feel versus like the setting of Collision. Like, it wasn't called Collision. It wasn't called a Collision special event. But it had the Collision commentary team. It had the music. It was obviously on that slot on TV. So that's the impression that you're giving. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I did really enjoy it, and I thought it was really good. But it does seem just a little bit of a shame that I feel like we could have got a 3-hour card out of this, like a big pay-per-view event. Not your biggest one ever, maybe not as big as All In, but like it does feel like it deserved maybe a bit more time, maybe one more match, and these matches could have been longer and just give it a bit more.
Yeah, I think it did afflict some of the pacing, because I thought the opening match got a really decent amount of time.
It got a long time. I was surprised.
Like Harley Cameron, I'm absolutely fine with that time. The Brisbane Brawl, the ending was a bit jilted towards the end. Okada versus Buddy Mafia, I thought the timing was okay. I guess for me, it would maybe just be like the Brisbane Brawl, because the ending. But mainly Mariah versus Tony, which was really short, and not even just a match, but again, I can't remember if it was last week's Collision or not Collision, Dynamite, or the week before, where it just wrapped up really fast. Or maybe it was pay for. Honestly, I cannot remember what it was. It was like Monet. It was Monet versus. Was it Monet versus? Oh my God, Yuka Sakazaki? Was it that match? And it just ended really fast. But that was like okay because it's Dynamite, but I get that it's a special collision, but I just wish that moment could have really breathed and
Yeah,
not been 20 seconds, if that, of her holding up the title.
yeah,
The crowd was amazing, honestly, absolutely. Because to me, it all comes down to the crowd. Because yeah, they can put on an amazing card, and yeah, the wrestlers are going to be great regardless. But it was the crowd, and the crowd really demanded that. I liked it. Like, don't underestimate our market. Like, yeah, we are small, but we're very passionate. And Tony did come out, I believe, at the end, and yeah, he was booed initially, but he said that they
as
will
if
be back. We will be back in Australia, and then they
right.
cheered. Which, yeah, and I really hope if they could. He does love a tradition, so I think it might be another Grand Slam, but
Mm,
I'd love to see them get a pay-per-view or at least a 3 hour special edition of Collision or something, because it really did warrant that. It was,
yeah,
yeah, I'm really interested to know how this is going to compare to All in Texas, because I have yet to see an American crowd that is as passionate as international crowds. And obviously, like I say, crowd is the majority. And yeah, All In card is going to smash this out of the water. But
mm,
like I say, that's not everything. It's atmosphere, it's vibe,
yeah,
it's crowd. And I also thought that it was really, really well lit. To say it was an indoor, I believe it was an indoor venue.
mm,
The lighting, because I'm so used to AEW lighting is so dark, and I watch WWE from time to time. I know, shocking. But when I watch it from time to time, and it's so fucking bright, I'm like, Jesus, I need to get like my sunglasses on. I can see every fucker's face. It was like that on this. It was presented with all the lighting. It had this really big arena feel.
yeah,
But yeah, like it was just a bit disjointed, the pacing, and it is just a real shame. But again, not shitting on it, because like you take what you get, you make the most of it, you enjoy it. I had a great time, but I just think for the wrestlers' sake, the work rate they were putting out, and for the fans' sake, and I know somebody said in the comments, "Oh, they still got a great card." Yeah, they still got a great card, but there was loads of people missing from this show. Loads of
yeah,
people, like loads of big name mascot style wrestlers that you'd see at an All In. Orange Cassidy wouldn't miss an All In. Christian Cage wouldn't miss an All In. Oh, I'm trying to think, but there's loads of
Darby.
people. Derby that wouldn't miss it. That these people didn't get to see, which is awesome, because I'm really glad that they're going to come back, and hopefully you guys will get to see them in person. I understand you don't want everything at once, but yeah, I think it's a shame, but hopefully being optimistic. This was just testing the waters,
Mm,
and now they kind of know logistically how they're going to do it. Hopefully they learn from the mistakes. Hopefully they don't book Brisbane again because of the location issues. Hopefully they can get something a bit more central to the capital. But yeah, I think that's my overall thoughts on
yeah, I
the.
think, and I think that's very fair. I think there's like positive ways you can look at it as well.
Hmm.
And someone said in the comments like, well, isn't this a good thing that everyone gets to watch this for free on television? I was like, actually, yeah, I hadn't thought of that, and that is a really good point. Like, it's nice that we're getting this high quality card for free, and everyone can watch it. It's good that Collision's getting that bit of a boost and seeming more important and more like a can't miss type thing rather than the B show. It's nice for a change, I suppose. Just it's quite refreshing. It was quite nice to not have to, you know, just for like time's sake. It was concise. It was compact in 2 hours. Didn't take up like all my day to watch like a 4 hour show, for example. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
like
that
if you
that
just
was nice. I
look at
agree.
it in these like different angles, you can see, okay, yeah, it was good in that sense.
But
But
were people charged? Were they
yeah,
charged that price?
yeah, that's a
That and
whole
that I think was
issue.
our big thing that we were talking about last week, is pricing and people being ripped off. And I'm sure no one really. I'm sure the fans who've walked away from that are buzzed up. They got to see Tony Storm win the title.
Yeah,
That's amazing in a home country. That's such a good feel good moment. But yeah, maybe in like a few months when the adrenaline's kind of set because we know what it's like. We've been to All In, and you just when you're there live, seeing such an event, such a spectacle. And I know it's on a different scale, but it does cloud your judgment a bit. But I
Yeah.
think that in a year's time, if you ask them about it and they can be a bit more objective, yeah, they probably would agree that, you know, if you're being charged a certain sum, you would expect what you pay for. But again, we're not trying to be negative. We're just trying to talk about everything. And if for our podcast, right, how fucking boring would it be if we just sat here and we just stated the obvious of which we will do when we read the card. The wrestling was really good. Did you like it? Yes. We'd have nothing to talk about. So, like, obviously, we are gonna like dig deep and ask the deep questions and dig in a little because that's what's fun and being like a bit of a devil's advocate. And I think sometimes it might come across the wrong way. For me, I love to talk about every point of view, even if I don't agree with it. It's called nuance. It's something the wrestling community really struggles, like fans struggle with, this concept that you can change your opinion, you can have fluid opinions, you can have not
Not
everything
black
is
and
like a
white.
personal attack.
Yeah, and it's not like
We have
good
an
versus
AEW
bad.
podcast. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. It's not good versus bad. We have an AEW podcast. Do you really think, as like fans, we're going to create like a podcast just to shit unanimously on this company
I
that I've
mean, I don't
spent
know.
way too much money and time on?
I think some podcasts maybe exist that exist purely to shit on wrestling.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
You don't want to be jilted, and so in a way, yeah, yeah.
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 And this is why you tune in for this really nuanced commentary. Yeah, yeah,
It's just vibes, man. It's just vibes. And
yeah.
you just even with
Noble
the. So
vibes.
I'm trying to think about what I was because I went off on a tangent there. I'm trying to think about what we were originally saying about.
We were just saying about like the presentation of it, weren't we? And um, like, is it is it just a collision? Is it just an episode of Collision, or is it a special event type of thing? I would really love to know if anyone's watching this who went to the event. Please let us know what you thought. Did you feel like you got your money's worth? Did you enjoy the event? What was the atmosphere like in person? Really hear all about it. Um, overall, it was just interesting. It was just interesting for a change. To tune in, and it's like I mentioned, it's a 2 hour quite short show, but it was like back to back to back with five really strong wrestling matches that had a lot of story behind them. Um, so there's not complaining. We're not complaining.
Yeah, I think that was the point I was trying to make. That's it. There's no complaining. It's just commentary, and I just
Yeah.
wouldn't want someone to click on this video who's really excited about watching Grand Slam, or who has been to Grand Slam and is really excited and clicks on us and just feels like we're being negative. And so I just feel like that bit before is like me trying to give some context as to why we're like talking the way we are, because I feel like sometimes that's it. That's it. It's all coming together now. I feel like sometimes you say things and people's backs instantly go up, and it's like, just come along for the ride. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's not. I had a really great experience. This show will get a high rating, but yeah, anyway, I feel like we've done disclaimer, we've done it to death. Let's jump in to
Yeah.
the matches, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so first up we had Takeshita with nearly said Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know what the
You
hell.
can't
That is
you
like
can't tell the
cursed in
difference
my
between
brain.
these two people.
Why are they
The
both called
Kyles.
Kyle? One of them should have like a Monster Energy gimmick. That'd be great. Get us sponsored by Monster. Anyway, versus Osprey and Omega, and this makes perfect sense as to why it was to start with. But again, I was baited in like, oh my god, we are starting out of the gate with Takeshita and Kyle, Osprey, Omega. They're all amazing. But for me, especially, I got up this morning, I watched the first 40 minutes and I went to work and I went home. So, like, getting up this morning was fucking tough. It's like 1 degree outside
Yeah.
at the minute, every day. Grey sky, Silent Hill weather out there. But you know what? I was getting ready and I turned on my little phone and I picked up my little notebook, which is not the Hello Kitty notebook anymore.
Whoa.
Um, and I was greeted with the sight of these fine four men on
And,
top form, top athletic form.
and that was like the
It was
sun
great.
coming up at the beginning of your day.
That
They were the
that
sun.
was. They were. Uh, yeah, and also I want to say just because talking about the overall show as well, which links into this, I thought that it was really nice. Do you know what? I will say, yeah, if one look at it positively, maybe it didn't have every fucker on the roster on there. Maybe it wasn't the eleganza extravaganza, but it really did shine a spotlight on the Australian
Yeah,
talent and really put them in big spots with big people. I know Fletcher's been running a program with these guys before, but with Harley Cameron and Buddy Murphy Matthews is
Matthews.
Matthews. Sorry, I just got confused because his finish is still Murphy's Law. Anyway, with those two, I thought it was really well done. So I will give credit and praise to that, and I think that's a positive way to look at it.
Yeah, well, when you've got a smaller card, there's more room for people to shine. There's more room in the spotlight, so to speak. So, yeah, that's a very good point. And it was nice that they yeah, local Australia is big. Got their chance to just like have that time in the spotlight without being overshadowed by like a million match card. So yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, having said that, made me laugh because Kenny had once again all of the pyro on him,
Yeah.
which is really funny.
Well, it's what he deserves, isn't it? We're just making up for lost time. All the pyro he would have had if he'd been wrestling in that time, we're just shoving it in now.
I found it really fun, um, how and interesting how the crowd really played to who they're meant to cheer or boo. And I
Yes.
feel like, right, the thing is, right, with the UK and crowd and Australian crowd, I feel like we're very similar. The chants, the vibes were
Engine,
similar.
the beers.
I'm, yeah, I was going to say that. I imagine there was some people in that crowd getting a bit merry. I fuck with that. But I feel like the UK crowd would probably have just cheered Kyle just
100%.
because. But I really liked how the Australians were marked and went for who they were supposed to cheer or boo. That did surprise me, but it was funny. I liked it.
I thought it would be more Mark-ish to cheer the heels. Like, does that not make you
That's
more
true.
Mark? But
Yeah, but is it more markish to like be invested
mm,
and play
as if it's
along with the
real.
story? This is the
Yeah.
philosophies.
You know what? This is interesting. That's an interesting point. Maybe a future episode. What does it mean to be a Mark? Anyway, yeah, I was fully expecting Kyle to be cheered in this, and I thought that's brilliant that he's getting wholeheartedly booed. Um, it takes one hell of a heel to still be booed in your home country. So yeah, that was that was hilarious. I mean, people were in his face doing this. It wasn't even like this. It was like,
Yeah.
fuck you, respectfully. So yeah, that was yeah, that I noticed that as well. That made me laugh.
Uh, I really liked in this match how it was a proper tag match. These guys are all single stars in
Mm,
their own right. And I know that Takeshita and Fletcher have kind of been teaming up more lately, so they've got that kind of tag team synergy. But this match wasn't just four guys showcasing their stuff. They really, really zoned in on tandem offense and tag team wrestling. And I think that was really cool because it would have been a lot easier and perhaps a lazier way to be like, I'll get my shit in, I'll get my shit in, you get your shit in, I'll get out the ring. But they really took that opportunity, which was really special for Omega Ospreay because wow, what a dream team, dream match. I mean, it's something that people probably years ago would theorize. How would it be if they teamed up? How would their rest like we've seen them go against each other, but how would it be if they're working in tandem? And they did some really, really cool stuff, and it would have been good and great even if they just had gotten in there, like I said, just got their shit in, just be the stars that they are. But the fact that they were innovative with their offense made this so cool, in my opinion, special.
that's such a good point. I think it was like respect tag team wrestling. Um, and just it just shows that how well-rounded they are, and because it is two very different skill sets, I think, to be a singles wrestler versus being a tag team wrestler, and it just shows how well-rounded they are. That all four of them can do both. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, and I think it was all go from the very beginning. It was such a high pace, so athletic, so high hitting, from the very beginning, and it was such a long match as well. So they really, they emptied the tank by the end of it. They gave it everything. So, especially Kenny, considering it's his first match back, and that gave me like just goosebumps when he came out, on his entrance, and that I did think he looked tired towards the end, but like you fucking would be, wouldn't you? I think he did amazing. I mean, they all did, but you know,
Yeah,
shout
his
out.
first like proper match back. Um, uh, yeah, just yeah, we're gonna bring that one back. Yeah, just yeah. I really enjoyed like I said, the tandem offense. I loved the match in Tope. I thought it was adorable. I
Yeah.
thought Takeshita looked great. Loved the double suplex and Kyle just kind of like removing his hands and being like, "Ha ha!" in his face. That was pretty fun. Uh, yeah, I really liked Osprey using his body to shield Omega from Kyle Fletcher. And I really liked the finish, which was Fletcher hitting the floor after Omega kind of deflects him, kind of strike up on the turnbuckle. Takeshita's brought down on the turnbuckle, and Osprey literally runs up to Takeshita, kind of cannonballs off into Fletcher, takes him out. Then we see Omega setting Takeshita up for the one-winged angel. And it's like almost like cat reflex, cat-like movements. Not Omega, Osprey. So I can't even keep up with the action. It's so fast-paced. There's so much going on. Osprey comes in and does the hidden blade into one-winged angel. This great combination finish for the win. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of a bit a bit scared. I was like, I know that Takeshita's getting the pin. You know, it's not going to be Fletcher in his home country. But yeah, I thought the finish was really nice, really well done. And like you said, the match had so much time and room to breathe, and it was the best match on the card. And as people probably think, Mariah Tony just because of the outcome, but I think objectively, work rate, minute for minute, bell to bell, I think this was the better match. But then it had a lot of time to
Yeah, it
breathe
did, yeah.
and to kind of pace itself, and this felt very pay-per-view esque,
Yeah, it
or
did.
like this felt like the most pay-per-view match out of all of them on the card. But then again, I guess like it kind of had to, because I think
Mm.
people probably had the most expectations for this one. But yeah, great crowd warmer for the rest of the evening, day, whenever the hell this was. I don't know. I'm guessing evening.
I don't know, to be honest, because it wasn't aired.
Whatever's going on in Australia.
Yeah, fuck knows. Yeah, I completely agree. The finish was amazing. I mean, you should be dead after that. That was like two of the most devastating moves, like canonically in kayfabe in wrestling, combined into one is just like, yeah, crazy. And also
Yeah, but
like,
in my head, I'd just have Takeshita kick out in one. If I was the booker, I'd make him so OP. I feel like he kicks out of one. He fucking Undertaker dead man just sits up.
and then he kills everyone and wins,
Yeah.
takes the fall. I mean, picks up the win. Yeah, you know what? That's fair enough. Because if anyone could do it, he could. But the other thing that I was really impressed with, Kenny, he was about to get power bombed and he reversed it into like Hurricane Rana. That was just amazing, and he just looked so good. It's like how I said this on the podcast before. I don't want to like be condescending towards Kenny, but I just don't. It doesn't compute to me that he's doing stuff like that and he looks just amazing in the ring. And then it was the V trigger, and that was an awesome near fall. It was just like things like this over and over again. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was so crisp, so clean, and all of his like V triggers and strikes were so hard hitting. And yeah, his body is conditioned differently. He physically is leaner and he's lost a lot of weight, but he's wrestling tighter than ever, and it is different, but it's just as crisp in its own way, in its own unique way that he's newly packaged it. It really was, yeah, just he's just fantastic. Every one of these guys is fantastic. I can't remember who at the end, whether it was Tony or Nigel, but one of them said about them proving why like they are the present and the future, and again about Kenny's promo 2 weeks ago about being the future is in the ring. I think this match is just a great statement, and this they're very, yeah, fuck it. There's nowhere else really you can watch these specific guys doing their thing. It's very unique. It's the USP of AEW, and it's something to be proud of, and it is something to sing the praises of, because it is absolutely it's incredible. It's incredible in ring stuff, and then that's not even without all the stories and the character arcs that these guys are doing on top of that. Sorry, I can't hear you currently. I don't know if you're on mute or your mic has come out.
Now,
Yeah, I can hear you now.
um, okay, I can't remember what I was gonna say now. But uh, there were moments when like it wasn't perfect and something went a little bit wrong. Like it wasn't a lot. There was a couple of little moments, but like what I noticed was the fans were really receptive to everything, even when it wasn't perfect. They still popped as if it went as if it was, which I just thought was great. They just had the crowd wrapped around their finger on this one. Oh yeah, I remember now what I was going to say, which was that yeah, we haven't even touched upon like the stories and the characters in going into this, just purely on wrestling alone. This was brilliant, and then you factor in all that, it's even better. So, absolutely, and this is like the perfect thing to get someone watching AEW and think and enjoying it. Like you've tuned in on TV randomly and you've come across this match. I mean, it's a great thing to get you invested in it, because it wasn't overloaded with like convoluted story that you needed to understand. It was just pretty simple formula, and it was a very well executed.
Yeah, so we'll move on now to the TBS title, which was, yeah, the TBS title. I don't know why my brain for the past yesterday and today, it's been in another world. Monet versus Harley Cameron. Yeah, this was short, effective. It was fun. Uh, and it's one of those where, yes, it's very entertaining. Yes, Harley Cameron is very entertaining, but it's how I kind of felt about this, about how I felt in the early Tony Storm days of how is this going to translate to in ring? Because when you have such a larger than life entertainer personality and character, and Monet's playing it up, like, is this gonna, especially since Monet is quite a very serious wrestler in ring, like, how is this going to work? But I thought it worked very well. Harley Cameron came across as always very likable. She's so great in ring. She's so innovative. She tries hard. She's got a really good feel for the space, for the crowd, and to know how to pace herself. And again, for how little training she's had in comparison to other women on the roster, it really is something. And what a moment for her to be in Australia. I really enjoyed the 10 count punch with Puppet Monet, and she really did have the advantage for the most of the
Yeah.
match, probably because I kind of read it as Monet's underestimated her, and so she hasn't maybe gone to this match with like, oh, I need to watch the tapes, I need to get read up on Harley Cameron, and that's how she was. And with the crowd momentum, the character of Monet and kayfabe, she's like taken aback and not able to focus. But in the end, she goes to that vicious Arsenal desperation, and we get the Monet Maker for the win. But as I say, Halle Cameron had an amazing showing, and I also just want to say that this and before this we had the Statlander uh, matches for the TBS title, and I think that I'm really enjoying what she's doing, and it's like we said before, we criticised it, we pointed out recently that we enjoy it, is that having those smaller storylines have stakes. And yeah, it's obvious that Harley Cameron want to fucking beat Mercedes Moné, but it's about making people believe. And I'm just really enjoying what this match and what they're doing with Mercedes title run.
I mean, you say that obviously we knew she wasn't going to win. I really believed. I really thought
Believe Danielson, you believed.
I'm so bad for like getting worked by stuff like this. Sorry. And thinking that someone's going to win, just like getting sucked in and just, because I felt like this was a really great chance because she was in her home country and she's so over. Looking back, I'm like, that was stupid. Why did I think that? Obviously, she wasn't going to win. But at the time, like you said, she had the upper hand for a lot of the match because Mercedes had underestimated her. So it was very plausible that she could have won. And it was just really entertaining. The puppet, it's so goofy. And I'm sure people look at this as an example to dunk on AEW, but it's hilarious and it's really entertaining. And it's completely different, like, to anything else. So it's brilliant. I love it. And Halle Cameron is she said this in her own promos, but she's very multi-talented. Like, it takes a very clever sort of person to be able to bring these talents. So, for example, fucking ventriloquism, singing, playing guitar, etc., to be able to apply that to your wrestling character and have it be relevant and entertaining. So I think and like you said, how would that transfer to the ring? Oh, very well. She's also a very good wrestler. So, yeah, I think it goes to prove that like when you let a wrestler be themselves and like develop things organically, that's when people are going to shine. Like the really talented people are going to stand out from the bunch because, she's been able to really get herself over by doing these extra things.
Yeah, two things. I think first of all, that's like a sign of a really great wrestler and really great match. If like it gets you to believe and just
Yeah.
defy all logic.
Yeah.
And secondly, do you know who she reminds me of with her wit and her humor and her comedic timing? I know you might not see it now, but not the recent years, but Chris Jericho. She really reminds me of Chris Jericho.
Like peak
Chris Jericho, yeah. And I look at her and I think this isn't even like we're not even scratching the tip of the iceberg. Like I just know there's so much more she can bring and do with her character. And then the fact that she can then deliver in ring, wow. Like what a talent, what a star.
Yes, 100%. And that like comedy and acting and stuff, that is a skill. That's an underrated skill if you don't have it as a wrestler. Like, I've been seeing a lot of things about John Cena lately because he's on his retirement tour, and like, there's times when he's been really cringy, and yeah, there's times when Jericho recently has been really cringy, not on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, it's just because your delivery's been really shit and it's out of touch. It takes skill to not be like that and to be actually genuinely funny, and like you say, that like comedic timing and the wit. Yeah, it's important and it's underrated skill.
So next up, we got the token Brisbane Brawl with Adam Copeland and honorary Australian, I suppose, New Zealander, Jay White in white, looking absolutely dashing, may I add. That spray tan was on point. Everything was on point, looking extra salmony.
Wow, wow, and that quote out of context is going to sound really weird to anyone who didn't watch the last episode. I'm not going to explain it. You'll just have to go back and watch it to find out.
I get baited in.
Yeah, that's reminded me. I just wanted to say that I thought Kyle Fletcher looked stunning tonight. There was something different about him.
Something different about that Australian air.
Yeah, like it must just be like being in your homeland just home continent makes you glow.
Mm-hmm. Glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah,
The honorary,
is it important analysis, actually?
you know, physical analysis. Versus John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. This, right, I think I'm just not a fan of, like, these tokens. I'm just not a street fight person, gang. Like, unless
I
it's
thought
like
thought you were gonna say I don't
Texas.
think I'm a fan of Claudio, and I was about to be like, sorry.
Oh, I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't dare.
No,
I've just
that's a valid point.
unless it's like Hangman Swerve. See, the thing is, when you've given us something like that, oh, you know what? It either has to be really brutal or
Yeah.
self-aware that it's hokey, like Jeff
Mm.
Jarrett and the Texas Death Match, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Death Match, whatever the fuck that match was. Those two things I can deal with, but the middle thing of like this, where it's like middle of the road, it just yeah.
I mean, they could have hit him
Yeah.
with like a barbecue or something, like make it Australian somehow.
Yeah, that's so true. Where was the token Australianism in
Or
this? Usually do.
like barbecue tongs or something, or like you know what you poke things with on the barbecue, like use one of them as a weapon. That could have been pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Uh, it was interesting to start with Cup and Jay White launching the attack on the Death Riders, so they are instigating that violence. They are already. They're not just, pathetic little baby faces. Uh, I liked the bin lid to Jay White's head
Yeah.
from Mox. That was pretty vicious. Cope on the rafters. Oh, for fuck's sake! I thought, get down. What are you doing? Are you a moron? Like you've just been out for bloody a year and you're getting up there. Oh my god! Give it a rest.
Well, this is kind of what I was a little bit like with Kenny. My dude, get down.
I just, I despair. I really do. But he was you can always tell with Adam Copeland when he's really feeling himself. He was really like the crowd was really getting to him, and he was just acting a bit crazy. And I was like, just settle down, just simmer down a bit.
He's
Like
definitely like an
he's
adrenaline
stressing me out.
junkie, isn't he? I mean, he's been like that since
Yeah,
the
I
very
can't
beginning
enjoy
of his
it,
career.
but I can't enjoy it because I'm just stressed if he's gonna like hurt himself. Do you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? That whole time I wasn't thinking this is a cool spot. I was thinking he's gonna kill himself. Uh,
Stop it, get some help.
Loved the Moxley's a wanker chant. Loved Nigel's bit about koalas with chlamydia. I really enjoyed in this. I will say that the story parts, especially Jay White, loved his interactions with Marina and his interactions with Wheeler Yuta as well. And I will say that other than the ending, which was a bit weird, and a bit anticlimactic. I thought this match gave a lot of climax, and I thought it was good that they let Cope and White get a lot of offense in because the crowd are clamoring for that, and they kind of need that like release almost after seeing so many beatdowns and not being a fan of the Death Riders or whatever, and how many times they've been able to get one up over these two guys. So I thought that was nicely done. The spot with Jay White absorbing the damage of Yuta's kendo sticks to the Blade Runner, a lot of climax and satisfaction. We had the ASMR spear through the table. We had the cool bit with the barbed wire chair hits to Mox by Cope, and then the attempted concerto. The Death Riders, they zone in though, they kind of take little sniping bites out of it. Kind of like reminds me of like Hounds. Something Shield, something Hounds of Justice, something fan fiction. Mox, he just misses his brothers so much that he's like having to like recreate it.
He's
It's not the
living
same.
that shit. He's running it back.
He's running that shit back. We had the finish. The finish was the bridging bulldog choke onto Cup by Mox, targeting the neck. Of Copeland, all the history there. Yuta holding Jay White back, which is really nice because again, I always appreciate when they do a holding back spot. It just adds an element of realism. But the fact that it was Yuta holding White back was really great because like he's like a little fly that he just can't seem to swat away, and I think it's really nicely done. It was an efficient ending. It did what needed to be done. The crowd chanted bullshit. The bell rang, but Mox continued the choke, and then sort of did a tirade of screaming into the camera. And then we were told, I think we were told before, but the graphic came back up for Revolutionist Cup versus Mox. So, first of all, first question, the finish. What did you think about the finish?
Yeah, I found it very strange because so the way it happened was like you mentioned, Cope was threatening the concerto with the barbed wire wrapped chair. He took forever with that, like he was hesitating, so you're like, he's waiting for someone to come stop him, which is a bit lame in and of itself. So yeah, then he got stopped, and then Claudio hit him with the neutralizer. I believe he went for the cover and he kicked out, but then Mox was straight on him with that choke, which, like, he was clearly not moving it anywhere. There was no, like, tension of, oh, he's going to reach the ropes, he's going to break free, for example. Like, he was clearly locked the fuck in with that, but it took a long time for the match to end. But then, I don't even know, was he passed out? Because it seemed like he was awake, but then he didn't.
Yeah, like they didn't know
Ah.
whether they wanted to do a passing out angle or breaking his neck. The only issue
Yeah.
is you can't realistically break someone's pissing neck in a wrestling match. So
Yeah.
they had to do this weird wishy-washy of passing out and my neck's getting broken. But obviously, he can't snap his fucking neck because it's pro wrestling. So it was a bit bizarre, and also just a bit. Like I said, it wasn't the best street fight. It wasn't bloody. It wasn't violent. It the most violent thing would have been the cool concerto with the barbed wire, which was teased and we didn't get. And
Yeah.
then we got the choke out, which is like, I wrote down it's an efficient ending. Again, obviously the Death Riders are going to keep winning. It's just obvious. And, and Revolution's been booked, so we need to get him to Revolution.
Yeah.
But it just was very weird, which brings you on to my next part. Are we excited for Cope versus Mox? But now I'm also thinking, yeah, Darby's supposed to circle back round, supposedly. But who is the new talent who's kind of in this second act? Because that's how I'm reading it. I'm reading Orange Cassidy was the first act. This is the second. And after Copeland, we're going to get the third act, which is going to be the conclusion. Especially with how the fans are clamouring for someone to get the title that isn't the Death Riders, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, who are they projecting as the young babyface? And it's Jay White. So I don't know if I'm being a bit delulu. I'm kind of thinking that maybe Jay White might be the next AEW champion, and then he does a heel turn. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Are you excited?
Oh,
Mox versus
yeah.
Cope.
Okay, the delusion really popped out today. Okay. No,
Is
you know
it that
what?
delusional? It makes
You
sense.
know what? Like, that's kind of a logical conclusion to come to because he's involved in this story.
Because Cope's obviously going to lose. And
Well,
who's going
this
to
is
step
the
up?
thing.
Is Darby Allin just going to come strutting out randomly? Like, did you forget about me?
I
Like,
mean-
maybe he will. I don't know. But I feel like
No.
Jay White's more in placement for it.
Yeah, he is. But they might have changed their mind on Darby because obviously he's very prone to nearly killing himself. So, that might not be the next step, although it probably is. Either way, you said, are we excited for Mox versus Cope? And literally one
And
of
then proceeded to talk about Jay White. So obviously, no. We're not
Exactly.
excited.
One of my
I can't be
literally
arsed.
one of my bullet points that I wrote down was not exactly filling me with loads of excitement for Mox versus Cope. Because
I don't
Mox
want
has
to
just
see.
ended it clean.
I don't want to see. Yeah. And also, I don't want to see WWE guys versus WWE guys. And I know that they've been I know Moxley's been in
Controversial
AEW
take.
since like day one, right? And I know that Copeland's been there for a while, but to me, if you've been in WWE for a significant amount of time, you're a WWE guy to me. I know that Mox is AEW, but to me, I still look at him and I still see WWE guy. I don't want to see WWE with WWE. It's something about it that just really isn't appealing to me. I want to see fresh matchups. I don't know if Cope and Mox have ever actually fought against each other. I don't think so. But even so, I feel like I've seen it before because of like their fighting styles and their characters and their age group and their generation. It's more exciting for me to see. I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense or if anyone else feels that way.
I mean, maybe they do. I mean, and they probably do. I hadn't thought of it in that way, and that's interesting for me to hear that you, because now that you've said it, I totally get it. But to me, I don't know. That's I'm not excited for it, but that's not the reason.
Yeah.
I just kind of see the conclusion as quite predictable. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a
The
particularly
match.
great match.
I don't think they're going to bring out the best of each of us. I mean, they work a very
Mm,
similar brawler style.
mm.
It's gonna be slow, guys. It's gonna be slow. There's gonna
And
be interferences.
yeah,
It's gonna be everything that people don't like in
yeah.
one match. And the fact that
Listen,
we've already had
like,
it dragged
yeah.
out over this special, and like you say, you've seen it. I've seen it.
I like Adam Copeland, I really do, but
Yeah,
I
I
don't
love him. What a lad.
since
What happened to
returning.
Brew 2.0?
Yeah, but since
It's a bit
returning, like,
self-indulgent in it, this return.
yeah, even like not in AEW, in WWE as well. I just remember a lot of his matches I didn't enjoy. They were really long, really slow, and I just remember thinking, maybe this just isn't for me. It's just not for me, and that's fine. But
I'm really enjoying Adam Copeland, right? And I really enjoy John Moxley.
yeah,
But for both of them, I need them to be against specific people. I
mm,
don't enjoy every John Moxley match. I don't enjoy every Adam Copeland match. Doesn't mean they're bad wrestlers. But Kenny,
yeah,
because it's my wrestling style, I'm going to enjoy every Kenny match. But with these guys, I just need them to be against a certain type of person.
need that
And like I said, I
constant.
do feel like, especially since the comeback from injury, it has been a bit self-indulgent uh, with Copeland, and it's just
And
I feel like we've kind of forgotten all the seeds that we sowed before he got injured. We had like the house. I know House of Black kind of broken up, so that kind of screws it up a little bit. But we had like Brew 2.0, and we had what happened to Christian Cage and their little rivalry, and they were going to tag team up, and they were going to do all these things, and it just feels like we've just dropped it. And I
hopefully we
don't know.
can go back to some of that stuff. Because yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Um, but it's like it's self-indulgent. Too right. He's earned the right to be self-indulgent. That's
Yeah,
fine. You know,
point.
good for you. But doesn't it doesn't mean we have to like it.
I mean, hey, the crowd got to sing his theme song,
Oh, that was lovely. That was lovely.
so.
And you can tell that meant a lot to him.
And we haven't seen Copeland, have we? We haven't actually seen him live. I haven't ever seen him in my life
I
live.
have.
So you have.
I saw him at Clash at the Castle 1
There you
in
go.
Cardiff, and that was very special. Like, his entrance is one of the things that I'll never forget. So yeah, very grateful for that.
Yeah. So as well, it's just the fact that it's not just a match of Revolution, is it? This is going to be the next programming for how many weeks, and it's going to be boring, and it's going to be the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like you have to, we have to stick with this. It's not the end, and it's like where really do you go from here? Because he choked him out clean. So where does Cope come back? What's his comeback? How would you say, oh, I deserve this title shot? Well, do you? Why? Why do you think you're gonna win this time? You didn't win
Literally.
that time. Like, I don't know. On
Right.
another note, I've got a fun fact. So you said that you still see John Moxley as a WWE guy, and I thought that's
In
interesting.
wrestling, in
In
to me, right, he's the main character and embodiment of AEW.
Yes, he is. He is. I know what you mean. I know
But
what you
yeah,
mean.
vibes.
Because I thought, yeah, because he was in WWE for longer than he's been in AEW so far, which is true. But interestingly, he was in WWE for 8 years, right? 2011,
Only
2019.
8 years,
Yeah.
bloody hell.
And he has been in AEW
Since
since
2019, 2020.
2019.
Go
So
on.
that's coming up to 6 years. So that's like they're
Woo.
nearly equaling out, which is interesting to think about.
It
Um,
is.
because
It
it feels like he
is.
was there for quite a long time, but 8 years, like, and also AEW still feels really new, which it obviously is in comparison to WWE, but like, we're coming up to 6 years.
Yeah. I'd love to do some old reviews of old Dynamites
Oh, that'd be
and old
amazing.
Dynamite pay-per-views and just talk about. It'll be really interesting. You know what we should do? We should get the roster up of the old AEW and talk about like where these people have gone and what they've gone on to do. That'd be really interesting. Or some kind of structure like that. Or maybe not
I'd love
roster,
that.
maybe like old pay-per-view and you talk about where people have gone. But
Yeah, that'd
yeah,
be so good.
so Kazuchika Okada versus Buddy Matthews. Uh, yeah, yeah. This this was a it's a really simple, effective storyline. It's very similar to Mercedes and Harley Cameron, but it still had a different feel, which is quite admirable. I think, as I said before, the Harley Cameron Mercedes stuff was done better. I just think it was, but that's my opinion. But yeah, it's that whole opinion of my ego's out of control. I'm from Australia. I'm just as good. I deserve a shot. I have no respect for you. Wham bam, Australian lad slash lass gets the offense in. The heel is like, oh fuck, and then pulls out a bag last minute. It was very similar, but
Yeah.
yeah. Um yeah, I don't really have much to say. I didn't really enjoy it as much as the Harley Cameron stuff, probably because like for Buddy Matthews, I'm just not, just not feeling him like that. I don't hate the lad, but yeah, I think he's really really good in ring, but like character wise, what is his character?
Mm. Good question. Don't know.
What is his character? He doesn't have a character. He's just like a bit emo. I don't get it, but yeah, I thought it was weird as well, like the bit in the middle where Okada goes to walk out and then Matthews baits him back in by calling him a wanker.
Yeah, same.
It just disjointed the match a bit for me. I
Well, I
would have
don't
just
know
preferred
why.
straight. I don't know. It just weird pacing, weird pacing.
I agree, and I don't know why Okada would care. If Okada just wants to walk out
Yeah.
mid-match, he's gonna walk out mid-match, you know. Um, so yeah, that didn't really land for me. Um, to be fair, I thought this was a good match. It was hard
I agree.
hitting.
The
You know,
near falls on the end and the
um,
believability of
yes,
could Buddy Matthews win? The leg on the rope.
and I just want to say
Um,
as well something
yeah,
I picked up on. I'm annoyed I don't know his name, but the referee in this match was really good. I just don't
can't
know
remember who it
what it
was.
was that I picked up specifically, but I just remember thinking, what a class referee. Like I think it was the foot on the
The
rope.
end sequence.
Yeah, and also the near falls as well. Just the way like it's just such a simple, stupid thing that like makes quite a big difference. Like his 2 count, it was like really dramatic, and then he'd be like this. It was really good. I just thought
Yeah, it's probably
refereeing
what
was bloody
sold it and made it
brilliant.
feel so good. I didn't really notice it, but probably because he was just that great and just again I was
Well,
just
that's
absorbed
that's
in
again
the ring
another
and
sign of a good referee is when you don't notice them, because they just blend in. But yeah, absolutely.
and
It was
Lucy used to have
hard.
heat. Lucy used to have heat with all the referees, apart from Aubrey, who we
Mm.
put in quite high up when we did our roster ranking. I can't remember what category they were in, but you were not having it.
Yeah,
You
that
used
is
to hate them
true.
all,
You know,
especially Bryce Remsburg.
I don't rate Bryce. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just don't like the way that he's just a bit extra, and that's it's cool to be different. I just personally don't like it.
It's supposed to be
Um,
different unless it's like not what I like.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, this referee was like I was noticing him for the right reasons, not because he was screaming two in my face. That's just where I stand with it, and I'm
Back in
sorry
the
that
ring.
yeah,
There
exactly.
used to be a lot more full on back in the day. This is also why we
Mm,
need to watch my old AEW because you forget these things. Like
yeah.
now we just look like dicks, like oh we used to hate the rest for no reason. But they did. They used to be so
Obnoxious.
interfering and
Mm.
over the top. Yeah. I don't know who's been like getting involved, whether like they've told him to turn it down or what, but yeah.
Did you see that apparently well not apparently, I saw the video of it. Buddy Matthews like rolled his ankle during his entrance. Like he was on the second rope, he jumped down into the ring and he landed badly on his ankle. And then so
No.
this was right at the start and then at the end he was videoed like limping. So like whether I saw the video of it happening, it looked really nasty. I don't know whether that was like an injury that's maybe affected the match at all. It's not
Yeah.
something I noticed when watching it.
No, the match was great. I wouldn't have picked up on that. I don't know whether he's like going to be out for a little bit or like whether it's like a serious injury or whether he's just tweaked it or what. Okada was able to win by underhand means after distracting the ref. There was this little bit in the corner. He was able to lay in on Buddy and get the pin. And I think, like, yeah, in ring wise, this match really delivered. But this was like quite collision-esque in that it it's just a random pairing. And I know that they've been on Collision and I know that there's been storylines set up, but it still is. You can't, compared to everyone else on this card, this is just like a random pairing to
Well,
get Buddy
yeah.
Matthews on because he's Australian. And then he went, oh, Okada's cool. The Australians will like Okada. I'll stick him in. And that's why they've been like conjoined. But, you know, it delivered. I think if it had gotten more time
Mm.
in the previous weeks with storyline and more time in ring, and maybe if they'd done a big thing about the respect angle of can he win his respect? Because at the end of this, I didn't feel like he got his respect.
Mm.
I didn't get that impression. And I feel like that would have brought the prestige of the match up a bit more had they played into that. But it was still a fine match.
Yeah, and we did get people in our comments correcting us last week saying like, oh well, you say this match didn't have any build, but it had loads of build on Collision, and it's like, okay, we stand corrected on that. We don't watch Collision regularly, unfortunately, as much as we might want to, and I would like to try and watch it a bit more, but you know,
I got into a good habit
time
with
runs
it.
away with you.
And then it's always the week when like you don't watch it and then like you comment on it and it's just like, oh yeah, of course this one episode that I didn't watch, it's like, yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, we can stand corrected on that one and be like, okay, fair enough. Like we just missed it because
Yeah,
we've
fair
watched this
enough.
program, but
You were wrong.
I think, but I think you make a good point that this did feel a bit random compared to the other stuff on the card.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, I don't know because I didn't watch the episodes where they built up to this, so maybe it was an amazing build. But now I don't know. And it doesn't matter because
Fair,
the
fair.
match has happened now and it was a good
Exactly.
match, so who cares?
Exactly. Who cares? Then we had Mariah.
We care. We just spent about 10 minutes talking about it, but you know, nonetheless, let's move on. Main event time.
I was really happy that this was the main event.
Yeah,
Uh,
how awesome. And
yeah,
also,
great.
sorry to interrupt, but like,
No, no.
just because on the same lines, like the fact that there was four women in the ring for the main event, so we had obviously the two wrestlers, Mariah May and Tony Storm. We had Aubrey Edwards, the referee, and we also had the ring announcer. Sorry, I can't remember her name. That was awesome. Like this is the main event of a special show, and you've got four women in the ring. Really nice to see. Not something you see often.
Yeah, yeah. This was great. Um, really short, but
For
it was
sure, wasn't
still
it?
really good.
Especially
We
because some
had
of it was over the ad break as well, so like you missed
yeah. So I mean,
a
it was
chunk of the
so
match.
bizarre watching what many people say storyline of last year, storyline of this year. People really rate this highly, and obviously with the outcome being what it was, it is quite weird to have A, the match be short, and B, the match be cut into even more with the picture in picture.
Yeah.
We had Tony being the aggressor out of the gate. I really enjoyed Mariah's selling of Tony's offense. The way the presentation of the characters physically, Mariah's sweet as pie, you know, she's looking like a little Barbie doll. We have Tony looking dishevelled and crazy. But who's the real crazy one? Both of them. They're both crazy. And we
Yeah.
love them for that. But really it's Mariah. She's the deviant. She's the evil one.
Hmm.
She's malevolent. But again, it's like that composure and how Mariah, she's like a swan on the surface, looking smooth underneath, paddling like hell. Um, and it was just really nice because she looks really sweet, and her selling was like, like, oh my God, it's, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't,
Yes,
I can't explain, but
quite
it was just
cutesy.
really, yeah, very cutesy, innocent, but is she though?
Yeah.
You know, but it really added in. It made it more satisfying. You know, being able to the whiplash that she was able to get from the free hip
Oh my God.
attacks
Yeah.
was, oh, it was brutal. It was
Yeah.
brutal.
I watched this with Ian and he was like, "Oh my God, is she okay?" He was like worked by that. Because no, yeah, they looked really, really brutal. Also, the Mayday on the outside of the ring, that
Hmm.
was bloody horrible.
Yeah. The Storm Zero. We had the running power bomb.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
and the
was
Storm
nasty
Zero.
again. Yeah.
Mariah rolled out, and at this point, you've only got a few minutes left to stream,
Oh
and you're
my
thinking,
God.
oh,
I was
gutted for
so
her. It's
tense.
over.
I was so
It's
tense at this
over.
point. I was literally like, "No, what are you doing rolling out the ring?" I felt like I was in the arena, like watching it happen. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's the end. That's it. It's all over, like you said.
And then the inside cradle for the win. Tony Storm re-wins her title in her home country, which is poetic in that Mariah May took it off Tony in her home country in London. So that was really, really cool, really nicely done. It's I would have liked the match because of how high stake the feud is and how she literally won the title. I would have liked it to have been longer, but
Mm.
I guess what do you do? Because at that point, because of the restrictions of it being a special, you would have probably had to have cut a card versus Buddy Matthews. Then the card would have been shorter, which would have
Mm.
made it a harder sell to push tickets.
Yeah, that's so true.
Um, and then also you want Tony, like I say, for the synergy and for the poetic sense of the story to win the title in Australia. You don't know when you're going to go back to Australia, so I
Mm.
appreciate that it had to be done. But it is nitpicky. I understand. I understand there's nothing they could have done in these circumstances. But I'm just saying, wouldn't it have been nice? Just like, wouldn't it have been nice if it was a pay-per-view?
Oh yeah, 100%. And like you said right at the beginning and when we started talking, like it would be nice if we just had a bit more time for her to breathe and celebrate a bit more and just have more of that airtime just dedicated to drinking that moment in. Um, and maybe we could have took like 5 minutes off the opening match and put 5 minutes onto this one. It might have felt a bit more
Yeah,
balanced, a bit more equal. But it it was an outstanding match, regardless of the timing, which speaks to how good they are, both these wrestlers. Um, and like the ending could have gone either way. I really was on the edge of my seat. Um, and despite Tony not getting that big pay-per-view moment, I do feel like this cemented her as one of the greatest in AEW, like regardless of certainly the women's division, but regardless of like women's or men's division, like just one of the greatest. Like she's a four-time champ. That's incredible. And the journey that she's been
yeah,
on through that has been so entertaining, and you've really been taken on a ride following her character. Um, so I'm really happy for her. I'm really pleased that she got her flowers in that moment. Um, yeah, and also just to give another shout out to Mariah May, like just how one thing I noticed, she's amazing at selling.
it
She
really is.
just looked like just like a ragdoll. Like the selling was really, really effective. Um, that's just one thing that I picked up on. But yeah, overall, brilliant match.
I adore Mariah May. I adore Mariah May throughout this whole title run, to the point now where she is my favourite, other than Britt Baker. We all know how much I love my darling Britt Baker. But Mariah really is up there for me. I absolutely adore her. I think she's phenomenal. And I'm so impressed because I remember when she first came in and I just was like, oh, okay. And then the turn and like I said, the whole journey she's been on, I'm just absolutely enthralled of it. I just love her so much. And I'm really excited for her and for Tony to see what they're gonna do next because the conclusion it's like Mariah is she's unraveled completely. She's like crying. She's not saving face. She's weeping. She's holding her head. She's past herself. She's in despair at having
Yeah.
lost her title by her rival, who's like humiliated her. Essentially, I'm sure that's how she reads it. So how is this going to affect her character going forward? And with Tony Storm, what's she going to be like with the title? And as much as I'd like to see these women, and I guess like at some point there is going to be rematches and stuff, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do outside of that because I feel like with Mariah, the title kind of held her back because it kind of kept her in like this figurehead position.
Mm,
And they were just saving her the whole time for Tony Storm, so they wouldn't
mm.
properly unleash her on the other women.
Yeah,
Um,
that is true.
and then with Tony, she's so wrapped up in Mariah. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens going forward, and
Yeah.
that's always exciting in it. Rather than like a case of sometimes people win the title and it's like private party when they win the tag belts, and you kind of have that apprehension of like what's going to happen. This is like, oh, I'm really excited, and I'm really excited about the women's division, and I'm really excited about the TBS title, and wow, what hard work these women have put in
Yeah.
to get to that point. Massive credit, not just to the four women that were on tonight, but to the others as well. You know, Willow, Stat, the people that are making the way up. Aminata, Diana. There's loads of people. You know, we love
Me.
Athena. We'd love to see
Yeah.
Athena come up. Billy
Oh
Starks.
my
This is
God. Oh my God. Don't even imagine Athena next challenger.
oh,
That would be, oh,
that
tasty.
would eat. That would eat. But there's just so
Legal.
much good going on, and I
Yeah.
suppose that leads into our rating. This, obviously with the whole logistics of it and the tone and that, but when you sit down, you think, God, what a roster! What a night of wrestling! Love being an AEW. I just bloody love wrestling. I just love it. 9 out of 10 for me. I deduct a point just because I say like the pacing and the just yeah, just
Some of
some little
the,
tweaks.
yeah, that's valid. Like the Death Riders match, the ending was a bit weird and it wasn't the big sort of blood fest that it wasn't like it didn't live up to the street fight expectations, which is totally I think a fair criticism. Even though it did involve Claudio getting hit multiple times on his bald head, which by the way, that's not fair because like someone with hair, you got a little bit of protection. You're bald, you don't got any protection. Anyway, I'm veering totally off
Discriminatory.
topic. Completely agree. Yeah, I give it a 9. Are we gonna
Yeah,
rate
9 out of 10. And I'm
Dynamite
really
this week?
excited. What do you think?
I can't remember what I would have given Dynamite from this week. All I can remember is Cope trying to weirdly smash open that briefcase, and it was very strange.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't massively impressed.
Mm. I suppose this can be our rating from this week.
Yeah, we'll do it this week. And I'm really excited for future Australian events.
Yeah,
The Aussies have earned their keep, as it
yeah,
were. They're
yeah.
definitely a market, and they should return there. I mean, I saw things, but it was crazy. It was like they sold out of merch and the t-shirts. Uh, I swear it was like before the gate had opened, or
Oh
just as
wow.
the gate had opened. So that's ticket
I
gate that
mean,
was. So that's absolutely mad. You know, the fans are hungry and they're passionate, and that's what counts.
I don't even know if the AEW shop like ships to Australia. You got to think like if you're in that merch
That's
department,
true.
you got to bring a lot of merch because like if you're spending this much money to go to a wrestling event, you know you got that money to spend. You want to buy merch. You got that disposable income to drop on things like this because you're obviously a passionate fan. So I mean like it's surprising, but I'm also kind of not surprised at the same time that they'd shift a lot of merch. But it is surprising that it's all out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure.
It would be awesome. Get some more events in Australia, and see how far we can we push it? Can we get a bigger venue? Perhaps next time. Um, but overall, like, I don't think it would be fair to call this like a flop for AEW or anything like that, just because it didn't go to the initial plan. Um,
No,
it was a
no,
brilliant show, brilliant
it was great.
atmosphere, and it looked, I'm sure that everyone went had a great time. If you did go, please let us know. I'm really interested to hear about your experience. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and that's the thing. At the start, we literally criticised it because literally, like, God, that crowd, the passion, they deserve a
yeah,
revolution. They really do. They were giving us a run for our money,
yeah,
with our size capacity. So yeah, hopefully back next week for another Dynamite review. Got the international title series to look forward to. That'll be a
absolutely.
laugh, a lol, and yeah, just see. But I'm really looking forward to MJF and Hangman.
Oh
They're gonna
my,
have a little chit chat. So that's probably my most anticipated thing.
yeah,
So yeah, we'll be reviewing that on Thursday night.
yeah. So be sure to subscribe or follow if you haven't already, to make sure you don't miss that. We are so close to 500 subs on YouTube, so if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please
Please.
do. Well, yeah, that is really exciting, and we're really happy to. We're nearly
For
there
our
on
one
that
year
milestone.
anniversary. Do it
Yeah,
for us.
yeah, that's really cool. So thank you everyone for all your support. Thank you for listening, and yeah, we hope you enjoyed. Like I said, make sure to subscribe or follow so you don't miss the next episode. And we'll see you then.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, you rock, and good night, bang!
I wish you died in the womb!